Hey everybody, my name is Lauren. I am deciding to start a vlog about my kidney transplant journey because I know there's other videos out there and they're super helpful to me, so I'm just hoping, one more video will help someone else out maybe in a different way. Also, it's just kind of a good way for me to process what I'm going through because out of all the things that I thought I would have to deal with physically, this is not one of them. So it's kind of a surprise. So with that being said, I'll just kind of jump into how I found out I will need a transplant. So it's July right now. And in May, I basically woke up with like hangover symptoms, but they weren't like headaches and nausea, but it wasn't going away with ibuprofen. And also, I'd been having like nosebleeds every morning, and just the headaches have been like more often, more consistently. And so finally on that day, I was kind of recognizing symptoms that I had experienced during my preeclampsia back in 2021 when I had my daughter, who's now 4. And so I checked my blood pressure. Of course, it was 232 over like 180 or something. And so they sent me to the ER, and that's when I got hospitalized for 3 days because my blood pressure was so high, but they were trying to figure out, okay, what's causing it. And that had them prompted them to look at the kidneys, and so then they were trying to figure out. Um, they saw that my kidneys were damaged pretty bad, and they were trying to figure out if the blood pressure was causing the kidneys, or the kidney failure was causing the blood pressure. So I spoke to a nephrologist there, and he said that he wanted to do a biopsy on me. But when I got released, I met with another nephrologist, and she said that she did not want to do another biopsy on me. And at the time of my hospitalization, I was at like 21 kidney function, EGFR, I think is the term that they use to describe that. But then it was 23 when I went to the nephrologist like a month later, who said they didn't want to do a biopsy on me, which I was actually really glad for. But she said, yeah, like your kidneys are really small and they're failing, so we're going to see about putting, we're going to see about putting you on Farxiga, which is a medication that will help you, you know, um, basically filter out the sodium and help your kidneys a little bit. So that was great. I took a week off work. My work was really awesome, being flexible with me to just have me working like one day a week on site, which is like an hour and a half away from where I live. Uh, so I ended up taking, like right now I'm on like 5 or 6 pills a day for blood pressure and Farxiga and vitamin D, because out here in the Pacific Northwest we kind of have a vitamin D shortage. So anyway, that's kind of how I got here today. My last nephrologist meeting in mid-July, it it was noted that my EGFR was at 19, and I was kind of bummed about that. But I had read that like Farxiga kind of makes your kidneys work slower, so it's not having to work so hard, and so the function will go down, but then it'll go back up, if it works. And a lot of people have seen improvement and stuff. So I'm just trying to adjust the diet right now and kind of help my kidneys in a way, watch my sodium intake, and I feel like that's probably been one of the hardest parts. It's just like, with it being a family, it's like, and a working mom, it's hard to stop eating like the processed foods as much, and basically I have to be vegan. So if you haven't been a vegan before, then it's going to be really really hard because there's even some vegetables that you can't eat and some fruits that you can't eat. Um, but I've found a lot of like food alternatives, and that'll be a whole another episode is about diet. But just finding that and staying organized. I've just been, I have a blood pressure monitor that keeps track of it on an app, and that's super helpful. And then, I have a sodium tracker, and I haven't been as good at using that, but that's been helpful as well. And I'm usually over it because the sodium, honestly, it's like, okay, eat the sodium of like a normal person, how you should eat it, which is like 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams a day. And so most Americans are like way over that. So cutting that down's been kind of, I would say, more challenging than having to keep my potassium and magnesium down. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I am. I'm just really grateful I don't have to do dialysis, at least not until my kidney function's at 10% or lower. And so I'm really hopeful that my next blood work will show that my kidneys have improved. And so yeah, a lot of this is very physical, and I've, spiritually, and I'll, probably do another episode on this as well. But spiritually, I've always been kind of like a laid back person, but just go with the flow, ride the wave, and that's kind of like what I've been telling people. It's just like, oh, I'm just riding the wave and stuff like that. And I mean, I think that's better than just like being angry all the time or uh, depressed all the time. But I have my moments because obviously when you're this sick, you think about mortality, but for the most part, I feel like I'm in pretty good spirits. But I realized, I'm a Christian. I love God and Jesus, and um, I felt like I was being rebuked when I was telling people, "Oh, I'm just gonna ride the wave," and instead, it's like I've heard God just telling me, like, "No, I don't want you to ride the wave. I don't want you to just stay in the boat and be like shaking around. I want you to walk on the waves. I want you to, come closer to me, walk on the waves. Like I want you to be empowered to do that." And so I checked out this book called like The Root of Autoimmune Diseases. I'll have to get the actual book title, but basically it just talks about autoimmune diseases in like a spiritual light. But she did have the author had medical knowledge as well, or experience. So it's not just a woo-woo thing, but it actually like helped encourage me a little bit. It's a very easy read, and yeah, just kind of trying to really like acknowledge the power that I have in God, and that yes, He will get me through this, but He also wants me to like you know step into my power that He is giving me through the Holy Spirit. Um, but I guess those are kind of how I'm dealing with it right now. It's kind of how I'm working through this, and I have a lot of support in terms of my church and my family. I mean, I live like 3,000 miles away from them, or maybe not 3,000, but I live really far, so I kind of have to support myself. I guess where I run into anger sometimes, or other emotions, is finances and financially, because it's just like, no matter what you do, I guess I should have known this all along, but it just feels like nothing is made for you to actually live a quality lifestyle or just like be able to afford things. Like, I work a full time job and I sometimes freelance on the side, and my husband works two jobs, and it's like I don't know what else we can do. So that part's been kind of frustrating. Just like with all the hospital bills and stuff coming in, it just kind of gets y'all riled up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, when you look at it and you just like when I just like have to take myself out of the game, and just be like, you know what? It's a $7,000 bill, and we're just gonna do a payment plan. We're just gonna, cover all our bases here, make sure the charges are correct, and it's just money. And I think God will provide, and He did during COVID. And I've just seen a lot of things where His timing comes into play, and He provides the relief that I never would have thought that I would get. So Yeah, so I'm just trying to stay hopeful and remember everything that he has done for me in the past, and just trying to use this time to draw closer to him and get in his word and deal with, some sin that I have and repent for certain things and really like kind of examining my heart and asking God to show me who to trust and what circles of support, on me and just bringing that into my life. Um, a lot of the times, I think these types of things bring out those things that we've grown up with, these psychological tendencies or reactive tendencies that we've grown up with, whether they're conscious or subconscious. And yeah, the wave thing, like that was definitely kind of like a subconscious way that I've been, programmed is just to be very passive all the time or a lot of the times. And I should be stepping into my power and just like, I feel like, obviously growing up and being in more, having more experiences kind of sheds some light on those things. But um, I forgot where I was going with that. But it's just something to think about because, you know, um, another thing I guess is just that I spent a little bit of money on myself. Um, Whenever I found out about all this, I, ordered me a couple of dresses for the summer. And I got my hair done a little bit and things that I never do basically. I don't buy stuff a lot of the times. I don't really do anything with my hair. So, my thing is if there's ever no, if there's ever a better time to feel good about yourself, it's when you're going through something so severe like this. So I think it's really important to recognize the severity of your situation and not be just like, and this is kind of where I was going with that other point was just like, you know, kind of recognize where you're vulnerable and don't just think that, oh, I'm just gonna ride this wave, it's gonna be no big deal, and I'm just gonna like get through it and all that stuff. And I think, we kind of play ourselves, especially if you're a Christian, like, I think we just kind of play ourselves thinking that we're this like strong thing and that, oh, I'm just gonna, it's not gonna be no big deal. But I don't think that's really helpful, and I think that allows for a lot of. I think that lowers your guard in a toxic way, and because there's times where we need to have our guard lowered to the right people, and especially growing up, you start realizing like I can't just let everyone know all of my stuff all the time. And so, yeah, I just feel like acknowledging that, hey, I'm in this position. Sorry, there's like a fly flying around my head right now. But just acknowledging that, hey, I am in a new position, which means I'm like vulnerable. I've never experienced this before. So, yeah, like drawing near to God is super important. And also recognizing that, hey, I feel bad. Like I'm constantly depressed. Like maybe I should just take some action to feel a little better about myself, within reason, right? Um, but yeah, I'll probably end up doing some more episodes on like more specific things. And I feel like there's a lot of good things to talk about, but I don't have like too much to say yet. But I will let you guys know how this journey is going for me. All right, until next time.